on the community front, I think that we get so burnt out by feeling like we have to show up for our community instead of showing up with community. I think that's where the real burnout comes from.
Yep.
Because we're trying to show up as other people want to see us.
Yeah.
Or how you think other people want to see you. When in reality, you're spending so much bandwidth on that, you're actually not showing up at all.
Wow.
And you're not showing up as yourself.
Hi, Tony. How are you?
What's going on?
What's going on? You're in Los
Diva.
Angeles. We've been counting down for this moment.
I mean, it's been a long time coming.
I know.
And look at your digs.
Look at this, right?
I'm
Isn't
so
this insane?
excited to be here.
Whenever I started this podcast, you were like one of the first people that I was just like, you are just such an influential person in the community. And also I know that you must have an incredible story to get to where you have the successful platform that you have now. And so I'm just like so happy that we can make it work. And then you're in Los Angeles right now. This is great.
I know real when I see it. And you've always poured your heart and soul into everything you do. And I've always admired that, from the content you make to just how you show up as friends and how I know you show up for the community. So
thank you.
Let's go. I have lots to unpack with you.
We got all the baggage.
All my checked bags are here.
I was going to say, don't you have baggage in your car right now too?
So much.
You came straight from the airport, right?
I did.
Insane.
But
we made it.
That's the speed of Tony Morrison, though.
You're like, I'm pulling in.
Knock it out. I love it.
Well, tell me, are you from originally New York, or where are you from?
So to dive right in, I had a great childhood.
Okay.
I felt so loved. Just the dynamic of my upbringing was chaotic.
Okay.
So we'll start there.
Yeah, okay.
I was actually born in the Philippines.
In the Philippines, okay. Which part of the Philippines?
I was born in Cebu.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been there, yep.
Have you?
Yeah, I have. I had traveled to Philippines a couple of years ago, and I think we did like 13 of the islands. I know there's
Oh my God.
there's
So
a
get
lot.
this. I've not been back to the motherland.
Wow,
actually.
okay.
My mother has plenty of times, and she'll tell me, oh, me and my sister, we're going to the Philippines for a few weeks. We leave tomorrow. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah. You're like, I got things to
I'm
do.
like, what's going on here? But no, I was born in the Philippines, and my birth father passed away when I was very young, like 1 or 2 years old. Okay. And my mom remarried to an American, and we eventually moved to Florida.
Okay.
To the U.S.
What part of Florida?
Orlando.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So Philippines to Orlando, and then that's kind of like transpired into all the places you've moved to after that. Or did you just go straight to New York and you haven't went back to Florida since?
No, literally.
Yeah,
I went from one tourist trap to another, number one. I've always had an affinity for New York City.
Okay.
The hustle and bustle, the chaos, the glitz and glam, the name and lights. And I'll say that nothing that I certainly am doing now, but nothing that I ever did career-wise was ever part of the plan.
Okay.
Which is the crazy part. I went to college in Tampa.
Yeah.
I went to business school.
Wow.
Failed finance 3 times.
Okay.
Literally cannot count.
They say third time's a charm. It didn't. No charm happened. No charms.
I feel like we made some deal with the dean's office or something. Like, you got to let this guy go.
Yeah.
But literally can't count. And I had gotten into photography when I was in college.
Okay.
Freelancing here and there, was shooting for the campus paper, was doing friends from college, friends' weddings from college, doing all that. And I was shooting like Disney weddings. Okay. You know, obviously given the Orlando pipeline,
of
Central
course.
Florida, there's always the Disney.
There's something
red
aligned with Disney's anywhere you look there.
Yeah.
So your love for, I guess not even advocacy yet, but your love for media started in photography is kind of where you're saying, okay.
The buzzword of storytelling, I think, is the crux of that passion.
Yeah.
You know, and I loved telling stories through still images.
Okay.
I've had this uncanny just ability to capture someone's essence of their soul through an image. And, you know, when I was early in my career shooting photography, after college, I started my own photography firm.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not new to being a solopreneur.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So I had my own photography firm for a while and was doing wedding photography and destination weddings here and there.
Your photography, did that ever move into videography, or was that mainly just starting with still imagery for now?
So fascinating, because I get this question all the time.
Yeah.
And I never got into video. I probably am foraying into video now.
Yep.
Just given the spaces that we are in, we have to.
Right.
And the camera gear is just very video forward these days. So video is a total other
It is.
circus, I will say.
Yeah.
Full respect to the full-time videographers and especially the editors out there. It's so different than photography, but photography is its own
Oh, it is.
thing, its own beast.
I think that's what is so fascinating about media and then also creatives, right? I mean, you have influencers, you have content creators, and then just creatives in general. That I think with content, it's so fascinating because there's so many people who have to learn as they go, right? Like,
Totally.
I didn't have a background in videography. I did not have a background in photography. I loved art, and I went to art school in San Francisco. But I didn't know what I was doing. I just went to YouTube University, and I was
but
like,
I was just going to say, like, you figured it out.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to, and that passion
Exactly.
was there. Yeah.
And I think with content, even now, we're seeing how it's just ever evolving. Like, there was at one point where Instagram was just photos. And then now you have to like teach
4
yourself.
filters?
Oop.
Oh.
And then now you have you have to learn to do videography, and then you have to learn to edit. And it's really interesting how you like learn on your feet.
I always just have taught myself how to do something.
How to do it. Yeah.
I just always learn it on my own.
Well, it's like you said, a solopreneur. I love that you said that. I'm going to start using that. Like
it's all yours.
It's the new one. The bio is changing.
Oh my God.
Well, what about your coming out journey? And when did you start to go through like a self-discovery era in your life? And who was kind of like your first person to come out to?
Ooh.
Loaded question. There's like
that
5
is a
in
good
1.
I know. Well, I will say I grew up thinking my queerness was a phase.
Okay.
I always thought it was something I would grow out of. I always thought it was something that all boys dealt with. I didn't actually come out until after college.
Okay.
Formally.
Right.
I grew up in a very evangelical household, but not a Bible-bashing household. And I think, okay, there is a picture of me at home, and it's like, you can tell it's like one of those old like 1990s photos, but it's me as a kiddo outside of like a campfire, like around the campfire, holding a feather duster.
Okay.
Like feather dusting the logs.
No.
And I'm like, if y'all didn't know then, what in the hell? Why was I the last to know? Like, what's going on here?
Like, I don't think it's like everybody carrying around a feather duster. Like, that's impressive. You know what? Good for you. You were like cleanliness
a legit
first.
feather duster.
Yeah.
Like, with feathers.
I'm dying.
Also, where did you get that? What's going on?
It's like, I love that it's not even just the feather duster itself, but you were at like a bonfire.
Literally outside.
Yeah. You're
in
like,
a forest.
This ash needs to go.
No, literally, that's what was going on. So there's all of these like moments, and I know like 1995 was a different era entirely. Yeah, I always grew up with this energy and essence of love, and my parents and family around me always just wanted me to be happy.
Yeah.
Granted, I was, a straight A student.
True.
I was a go-getter. I was the honor society president and the band president at the same time. I was that kid.
Yeah. I'm convinced after hearing already this part of it that you have more hours in the day than everyone else. Like, there's no way you only have 24 hours in the day.
I volunteered after school, like in the office,
wow,
like helping the ladies like sort mail and stuff.
Cute.
Like,
it
was something more than teacher's pet.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like I wasn't like really bullied in school.
Yeah.
Like, people didn't make fun of me. I was always just like the helper.
Well, it sounds like you were very in tune with community at all times. Like, not even just...
That's a great way to put it, actually.
Like, it's not even necessarily a sense of like trying to get brownie points from your school, but it's like, what other extracurricular activities can I do to put myself around people? Is that something that you kind of went through?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay.
I mean, I go back and forth with this all the time, and I've been doing a lot of... the shadow work and the inner child work that we do as your, 30-somethings in the world now. Yeah. There was a conversation I had with my therapist quite recently that was around unpacking why I was such a go-getter, And I think because there was a lot of, I'll say issues at home, but it really just was the fact that my family was very dysfunctional, and my mom, who my birth father passed when I was young. My mom remarried, moved to America when I was 2-3 years old. They got divorced when I was in middle school, and like the family multiplies,
Right.
and
Right.
now I have step parents on both sides. And for a while, Christmas was fun, sure. But the conversation I set this up because the conversation I had with my therapist was around trying to curate the ideas of connecting why I did all that, and if I've continued to do that in adulthood.
Yeah.
In ways that is not letting me pour into myself.
Okay.
In adulthood.
Got it. So in a way, it was like the more you pour into others and your community around you, do you find that it's like a healing thing for you, or is it more of like the more I do that, it's less of a distraction of what I have to do internally?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of both. Like growing up, a distraction, and B, finding affirmations and just getting approval when you were a young kid.
Right, absolutely.
And it's not that I didn't really get that at home. I think I was trying to find home or community elsewhere.
Right.
We'll say coming up in a non-traditional home, and for me to want to find home and community elsewhere. I think that growing up, that sort of level of trauma and dysfunction was normal for me.
Okay.
Of just like, that was my baseline.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I thought that everybody had that level of dysfunction or trauma or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
So that's sort of been my baseline.
Okay.
Growing up.
It's interesting that you even say that, because I feel like I've gotten to a point now where I call it like a foundational, like if I think like for me, I'm like, I have a foundational loneliness, and I understand that. And I'm like,
sure,
what does that mean for me? And how do I adjust to feel less alone, but also feel better in my own self, my own body? And like, sometimes it's so scary, but I think that I carry that. And I'm like, I was curious. I like that you say it that way, because I say it's like foundational, which almost feels like that is all that I'm built up from, which is not necessarily the case, but it's like a deeper core, like not even an insecurity, but like a layer of who my personality is based off childhood.
Completely.
Yeah.
And like, even just on that home factor, like I remember like we never went on like family vacations. So the idea that people, even in our network and communities of friends, to know that people go on full family vacations.
Right.
I'm like, I could never.
Yeah.
Like, one, that's so stressful to me.
Yeah.
But it wasn't something that we did.
Okay. Yeah.
And it wasn't because there wasn't love there. It's just that just didn't take place in my household.
I know you're from the Philippines. There's also a level of immigrating to the U.S., acclimating yourself to American culture, which must have been something that was a change. And then, like you said, going through grief at such a young age, and maybe not being able to understand what that means from such a young age. Are these all factors that do you think that have like kind of created who you were from a childhood to where you are now as well?
Yeah. And I think that comes back around to of this, like that baseline of trauma and capacity.
Yeah. Okay.
For yourself.
Yeah.
My stepdad, who half adopted me, he passed away when I was going into college.
Okay.
So abstractly, burying two fathers by the time you're 24 is not normal.
No, absolutely.
But to my core, that was normal. I mean, I feel like I grew up so fast.
Yeah, exactly.
In adulthood. My experience is that I don't feel that my childhood was taken from me as much as I feel like I just grew up really fast.
Yeah.
But I've always been that person to spearhead.
True. Yeah.
something, or a group project, like having been that type A person, coupled with all that I've dealt with, I think has really gone in tandem.
I find it so fascinating too, because I wonder if it's coming from a place of like external pressure or internal pressure, where like it doesn't even necessarily sound like your parents. I'm not sure if this is what your experience was, where your parents put this external pressure on you constantly, or if it was like an internal pressure that you were like, I'm going to be a go-getter and I'm going to prove myself and I'm going to be a part of community no matter what, to kind of fulfill that a little bit too.
I think to invoke my therapist again. I think there's a survivorship is a word there. But it really too was just me trying to. It's interesting. I was going to say me trying to find community in places where I could. But that sounds so sad. And it wasn't like me like finding like, please be my friend.
Of course.
It was just I really gravitated towards people and places that welcomed me in.
Yeah. I definitely relate to that though, because even for me, like I have two sisters and we grew up closely, and I was on the soccer team, and I also was in advanced honors classes, but then I also was the most school spirit. I won the superlative for most school spirit. I was prom queen. I was all these other things. Like I was always like the captain of like the not cheerleading, but like what is it called whenever they get all fully painted and they do like the chants? Like I was that. I was that. Fully painted head to toe at every football game. Most school spirit. And I don't know what it was. And maybe it's very sad. I feel like I'm very much relating to you right now, where I'm like, oh, maybe it's because I was also in search for this version of community, because also no one around me, and I don't know if this has a direct correlation to my identity, but no one around me was queer. So it kind of felt like I was looking for connection in ways that I didn't know that was missing in the first place.
Yeah, it sounds like we were both very present. Sure, we maybe didn't see other people like us growing up, but also, I don't know that I was looking for that.
Yeah, no, same.
We were just like fully present, doing us.
Yep.
And I think that's the magic of childhood and actually letting kids be kids.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. Because I mean, there was this like, and I don't mean this in a bad way at all, or like a connotating, or like a bad word, but it's I was almost so naive in my presence, where I didn't even recognize that there was this whole social standard or gender norms or like this pressure to conform. I think that I was just living in my present, and that was it, right?
Yeah.
But then as you get older and then you start to internalize all the things that people say, you're like, hold on a second, like, does this apply to me?
Totally.
Is this play about us?
Yeah.
Like,
Unfortunately, it usually is.
So when you were going through your coming out journey, and you said that there was a long time that you thought it was a phase, was that something that you struggled with, and how did you navigate that?
I can't really pinpoint exactly when it really started, but I think towards the end of high school, I was like, this is not a phase.
Yeah.
'Cause I like tried to date girls and it like wasn't working, and I was like very, very uncomfortable. But I was always raised to be hyper respectful to women. And I don't know if that was something also to where I didn't want to like disrespect women, and like I just wanted to be their friends, but also it's like, you're gay. So I have to think there was a correlation there for sure.
For sure. Well, also you're growing up in Florida too, right? So there's an environmental layer to that also, especially with the climate, the political climate there. Even though that would have been years ago, I'm sure there's still a difference between that and like a New York City.
Totally.
Right? And so is that also something that you think that you kind of like held on to, and just you were like, I'm going to close this side of myself off because it's not, or was it just like, we're just going with it? We're flowing.
I will say, okay, listen, I don't want on the record here, but I did out someone in middle school.
Okay.
I should probably call this person and apologize. But this kiddo at lunch, I can't believe I'm saying this on.
If you regret it later, we can always edit it out.
Oh my
no
gosh,
problem.
no, it's meaningful. But I remember I did out someone in middle school, and it was around the time where I, Glee, the OC, those triggers of just like, I'm looking at the guys in shows.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling something here. And me and trying to suppress it and shame other people was definitely something that arose first. in middle school, and I outed this person, and I like ran around all day across campus, like telling people, oh, so-and-so is gay, so-and-so is gay. And like this, like the star like basketball player or whatever, who I had a crush on also, was like, he has a crush on you. He's gay.
Yeah, okay.
And I was like, maybe if I did that and shamed other people, this feeling would go away. And it obviously did not.
Yeah.
And growing up with a strong evangelical and faith household, I really, in my church system, we weren't really taught like hate, but it was very much an unspoken thing.
Yep.
And there was a lot of nuances to pray it away.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it makes you wonder too if that, and not even wonder, but I feel like that is what we see as a pattern with some of the most hateful or oppressive people, is typically it's becoming from a place from projection.
Completely.
And, you know, like if I can deflect and get people to look at this person and what this person's doing, and we can inflict shame on them, then they'll stop looking at me.
Totally.
And I think that that's like the kind of the pattern that we see now with people who are typically showing up more homophobic or more transphobic, or there is some layer to it.
It's more about what's happening inside.
Yeah.
For them than it is what they're yelling about.
Absolutely.
For sure.
No, absolutely. And usually I'm like, what does that say about you? You know, because it's like also when people try to shame me for being queer now, I've done so much work where it was very scary for me coming out, like terrifying. I moved from Tennessee to California. I didn't know that San Francisco was the gay haven of America. No one told me that. I didn't grow up with any representation. When I moved there, they were like, you're gay, you know? And I was like, oh, that makes sense. But like, I didn't have that. And so, I don't know, it's just like, I ran away from it and I tried to start over and over again. But like, again, it's because you're like being told these things over and over again, whether it's direct or indirect. Like you said, your church wasn't telling you to go hate people, but maybe the things that they were saying in the lessons had like an undertone to it. I don't know. Yeah. And then we kind of like take that and we're like, okay, well, let's deflect on everybody.
100%. It was very much like don't shed light on this topic. Don't have these conversations. Yeah, what a time. What a time. New York was definitely my pursuit to be free.
Okay.
Free from expectations, free from the traditional pathway of, you go to school, go to college, sort of close by, you meet a girl, you go back home, you get a house with a dog and a white picket fence.
Right.
Like, that's the dream I was sold.
Right.
And when I was in college, that's when I started to notice that was not the dream I wanted.
Right.
After college, was picking up with photography and got linked up with a wonderful friend who was doing Fashion Week photography.
Okay.
And she was like, come with me to New York and shoot fashion.
Okay.
So I did.
And you were like,
And no, literally. So just... it was so kismet that this happened, and we ended up going, and I went to shoot runway and Fashion Week in New York City.
Interesting. Okay.
Just from this thing I picked up for fun.
Yeah.
And who knew a camera that I bought with scholarship money would bring me here. And I was like, this is what I want to do.
Yep.
I'm going to move to New York City. I'm going to be a Vogue photographer.
Okay.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So I do the move. I move to New York. And I figure out afterwards that Fashion Week is 2 weeks out of the year.
Okay. So you thought it was like...
I thought it was just like a thing you do.
Oh, okay. So you thought it was all the time.
Sure did.
Oh, my God.
Sure did.
You didn't hold on to the word week?
Nope.
You just heard fashion year?
Correct.
Oh, interesting.
Correct.
I guess in your defense, I'm just going to play devil's advocate for you. New York City is fashionable
I
in
thought
general.
it was just like a 24/7 thing,
I'm dead.
And I'm like, oh. So
What
I
do
need a job like for the 50 other weeks out of the year. Well,
That's
here
funny.
we go.
Okay.
And so I fell into like looking for work. I fell into TV by accident.
Okay.
And I got hired to work on a TV set, and that led to a job at CNN, and that led to a job at Good Morning America.
Wow.
And me coming out and doing inclusive programming
Yep.
at Good Morning America and doing more, LGBTQ storytelling, got linked up with GLAAD, the nonprofit. And GLAAD was really integral in shaping me as an inclusive reporter.
Okay.
And the opportunity came up to work for GLAAD.
Yep.
Running communications, which is where we met.
Yep. Isn't it crazy?
For the last 3 years.
And
And now I'm doing my own thing.
And isn't it crazy how all of that started from getting yourself a camera?
Literally.
Do you know what I'm saying? When I tell
Yeah.
people, like, when they have an inkling for, like, maybe getting a new hobby or maybe something that they just want to try
Don't know
something.
where it will lead you.
You have no idea that one little thing could take you to this new expansive life that you would have never even planned for yourself. Like, I think sometimes we were just talking about this before we started rolling, that sometimes having no plan is what brings you the best, biggest changes in your life.
None of this was ever the plan.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's incredible.
Yeah, even what I'm doing now with this media venture that I'm doing, I'm really revisiting that energy and feeling of that person who moved to New York City.
Okay, yeah. For Fashion Week, for the 1 week of the year.
Truly.
Well, I wanted to ask you, with everything that you're saying, from the photography to going to Fashion Week, even that's storytelling, to going into media and doing inclusive reporting, like all of these have a foundation side of storytelling. What point did you, recognize that storytelling was such an integral part of the content and the media that you put out?
I discovered early on that stories could move people. Ever since and this was when I was very early on in my photography career, when a photo made me cry, that's when that weight of the capacity that storytelling has. And look at how we still tell stories today. It's infinite.
Yep.
And I just remember when I started at Good Morning America, it was like I was actually brought on to be a social editor.
Oh, okay.
Back then it was like show clips and cat videos.
As you do.
And there were 2 of us on deck.
Okay.
And when I left that job, there was like 40 people on the digital team, and I got to ride that wave of branded content and streaming and OTT and all of that, which again, right place, right time
Sure. Yeah.
for all of that. But to be able to ride that wave too, from a professional lens of creating experiences for people to tell and experience other people's stories, I've been really fortunate to do.
I think it's amazing too because, like when I was growing up, there wasn't representation.
Yeah.
And when I say representation, I don't mean just like there weren't other queer people around me, but you didn't see it in movies, in television, in books, in music, in any form of media, games. Like there wasn't this representation, right? And so whenever you're, as a young queer person, whether you understand that you're on this journey of self-discovery or not, maybe you have no idea, but all you see is the non-representation that's there, right? So then you automatically start questioning, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me?
Completely. Yeah.
And then it's like, oh my God. So I think that it's just so powerful that I feel like storytelling is like from the heart of every single person that you tell, because every single piece of media that you put out there, someone in the world is relating to it, and it's life-changing. It's life-saving. And
it's not
it's like,
necessarily instant.
Yeah.
Like someone days, months, years later might see something that you did or said or put together.
Yeah.
And will be monumental for that person. You just don't know the distance that experience in content or storytelling can go.
Absolutely. Well, if someone was tuning in and maybe they're going through their own self-discovery journey right now, what's a piece of advice you would give to them?
Wow. I would say don't wait for permission. You are the only limiting force on this earth. It's just as simple as that. And I've always said that your story is your superpower, because that's the one thing no one can take from you, your own lived experience. So if you lean on your own experience and your own life,
no one can take it from you.
You're golden.
Yeah.
you know? And the idea of permission is also so funny to me.
Yeah.
Because I think we all have had these experiences if you're in like a group project or a group setting, or if you're just in a group in general, or even part of an audience. You kind of, if there's an instruction or some conversation, you're always hesitant to be the first, to raise your hand, to jump in, to unmute, to say something. But the second someone does, not all, but a lot of people follow.
Yeah. Which means a lot of people had something to say, but they were just scared to be the first.
Totally.
And so whenever they see someone else taking that step, then they feel more empowered and more emboldened.
Yeah.
And then, you know, from the lens of identity, I feel like when we can see other people taking that step and living their most authentic self through the representation of media in particular, it encourages and empowers so many other people to do the same.
I would say don't wait for other people to join you. Go first, and people will follow.
I love it. I love that answer so much. And honestly, like the don't wait for permission is so beautiful, because I think sometimes in our lives and just society in general, we are taught to follow XYZ. And like, as you said, from the very young age, American dream means getting a wife. Like, it means going to school, getting married, having kids, white picket fence, dog, house, everything, right? And that's not necessarily the truth of the American dream anymore.
Totally.
Sometimes American dream just means living the life to the fullest, to the most that you want. It's not living by these like binaries and these norms that everybody puts upon us.
And how you want to express yourself.
With representation in media, what is a way that you would hope that media does start to become more representative of diverse voices?
We have time for this?
Yeah, you're like, let me crack my knuckles.
You know, there's a lot of different directions this answer can go, but I think specific to what I'm trying to help fill a gap on with what I'm doing with my little media company.
Big media company.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to create opportunity and visibility for people who may not feel like they've had access to visibility and possibility and opportunity. And abstractly, the Red Lobster CEO is part of this conversation too, of just we will see shifts in representation and the crisis in representation in media shift when we start letting in new experiences.
Yep.
Here in Hollywood, outside these doors, we have to stop gatekeeping these boardrooms.
True.
You know, we have to diversify the academies. They're on it now, but like, to what stakes they were at.
Yeah.
To have to do that.
Absolutely.
They have to be held accountable.
Yep.
Before they nudge. So we've got some work to do across all industries, but we have to let in not just the boiler of like diverse experiences, but we have to let new experiences and people into these rooms and to lead.
I agree. Yeah.
Otherwise, we're not going to get very far.
Well, I mean, we are noticing a shift in media already where people are fed up with the same stories over and over again.
I mean, look at what's happening in independent news right now.
Absolutely.
You know, independent journalism.
You're seeing more and more people turn to diverse storytelling, whether that is through people that they trust through content or independent journalism. Yeah. We're seeing the political landscape shift now and being more present through online, through people's telephones, right? It's not as much as people tuning in and watching the news every morning now or reading the newspaper. People are talking, and we were just talking about that before we started rolling too, that I do think people are becoming more and more aware of the political aspect of every single thing that we're talking about here. And that very much aligns with media itself, right? Even for me, when I was growing up in Tennessee, it's just like we didn't have access to any of those things. And so now, and you know, when we were growing up, they were always like, do not talk about politics, do not talk about religion, and do not talk about money.
So real.
These are the 3 things you don't bring up at the dinner table.
Right.
And what I'm seeing now is all 3 of those things are attached to everything that we look around, right? And so by like not addressing them, we're not actually making changes.
Right.
But I do think people are tired of seeing the same story over and over again. They're tired of seeing the same people in the academies running them over and over again. And then it kind of being this like this boys club a little bit.
100%.
People are tired of it and they're calling out.
Yeah. I mean, it's always been a bit of a boys club for sure.
Yeah.
And as much as it is hard to break and shift those spaces, it's only going to happen if people stop asking for permission.
Yeah.
And just find it within themselves to lead.
I love it.
Just go do the thing.
Yep.
Go do the thing because we're all waiting.
Yeah. I actually, when I was at the GLAAD Media Awards, one of the presenters said that if you don't see your story represented, then it's up to you to create it. And that stuck with me and that was around the same time period where I wanted to start the podcast, because I was just like, these stories aren't being told. And what are we going to do? Wait around for someone to tell them? Or I was like, maybe I'll just start it.
This is what the publishers tell authors, first-time authors, write what you know and write what isn't out there for you.
Yep.
Start there.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because then it's just like a big domino effect of what's happening next.
Totally.
Well, I know that with the political climate at the time, there are a lot of like, I guess, fears, and people are nervous to be the first, and they're starting to feel like they do have to ask permission, because if not, there's consequences. Right. How do you find time right now for joy, hope, and resilience through all of this?
I'm finding a lot of joy in community. Yeah. I know that sounds like a very cheesy or boiler answer, but it's showing up in the places where I feel home and safe. And it's this balance, right, of not being able to, it's this balance of not needing to say yes to everything.
True.
And knowing when to tap in, but also knowing when to tap out.
Yeah.
Finding a lot of joy in just traveling. I've always been a solo traveler. I love solo traveling. Okay. Or even if it's just like, I live in New York City, but like getting an upstate cabin for myself, or taking the train upstate or something.
I love that.
Very, very simple joys. Yeah. Or just going to get a gelato.
Okay.
Down the street,
Look, we all love a gelato.
I love a gelato. I'm getting some right after this. Some froyo, maybe.
As you should.
But no, finding some time for yourself.
Yeah, I agree.
And finding, I realize now I've said 2 different things. Finding community and finding time for yourself, both are equally important.
Yep.
On the community front, I think that we get so burnt out by steeping ourselves in community.
Okay.
Feeling like we have to show up for our community.
Okay.
Instead of showing up with community. I think that's where the real burnout comes from.
Yep.
Because we're trying to show up as other people want to see us.
Yeah.
Or how you think other people want to see you. When in reality, you're spending so much bandwidth on that, you're actually not showing up at all.
Wow.
And you're not showing up as yourself. So I think finding that time for yourself just allows you to show up as yourself.
That is so powerful too, because this is what happened to me last year. I mean, I've absolutely loved the route that I've been going on and trying to help and bring more visibility and everything. But I think somewhere along the way, I kind of lost my alignment with my why and my deeper purpose, which was community. But I think because I had like disassociated myself, or I was showing up in community not as myself anymore, but how I wanted people to perceive me, I think that I lost touch of who I am anymore. And I was just like, wait a second, this is not necessarily the stories that I want to tell.
You don't even realize you're doing it in that moment.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing that we're able to say it after the fact now. But like, you don't realize you're doing it in the moment.
You don't. And I don't get me wrong, I am so grateful for every single opportunity and experience that I've had. But somewhere along the line, your why shifts. So I think that, or your why is always like where it is. It's a part of your core. But somewhere along the lines, your goals or your mindset shifts. So you have to always make sure and you check it back to your why. And that's something that I had to do, because I was like, why am I burnt out? And then I'm like, oh, that's why. Because I'm not actually doing something that really like to my core brings me joy. And so like that was where I had to really check myself and I had to spend time alone. I just got back from like a 5 or 6 week solo trip myself. And so I needed to do that. Yeah. And I needed to check myself out from the world around me for a moment. And that way I could breathe. And now I'm back and I'm feeling better. So I love that answer because it's very true.
Well, you look great.
You look great. Thank you. For someone that just got off a plane, you look amazing. I just wanted to tell you. Yeah,
what?
Me? What? Look at that. Right now, a lot of people are feeling heavy, and they are a little nervous that with the state of the world, and as rightfully so. But I also think there's talks about this pendulum swing, right? Yeah. And how right now they're trying to remove access to books and remove access to media and kind of limit and silence stories, right? And that also pertains to media in itself. How do you see this pendulum swinging back? Because I want to stay focused on what's going to eventually lead to back to progress.
I think that there is a general trajectory. Mm-hmm. There has to be.
There has
to be.
Yeah, there has to be.
No, there is a heaviness, but I think that showing up just looks different right now.
Yeah.
Because it has to.
Yeah.
And I'm taking my time on this answer because there's how we show up for each other this time next year, just like the social medias evolve, will be totally different than what we understand as showing up right now, today, in this moment. So I think we have to be open to what showing up looks like for us and the people we care about when we're called to show up in those moments. Because I think it's not really a thing that we ourselves decide. It really is more of a command.
Yeah.
Like a feeling, like the show up will call you.
I agree. Well, it's like an energy. It's a shift,
completely.
Right?
Yeah.
And when I think of media too, even with social media, which I'm really involved with, like when TikTok started during COVID and things like that, I started TikTok because I was bored and I was like, I need something to do.
Yeah.
And even in the last 5 years, and I don't know if this is just my For You page, but then we just had the recent election, but TikTok was a huge driving factor in the election. And it was a huge driving factor now for getting massive political conversations across the board. Huge. But not only just politics, but like diverse stories. Like we're being in touch with, like we have live feeds of people in different parts of the world and they're telling their stories, which I think is really beautiful. And I think exactly what you're saying is like that shift of what TikTok, the responsibility that you find on social media has changed so much that I think that it will continue to evolve, and I'm excited to see where that comes from.
Yeah, it's obviously the experience, but it's access, right? It's access to each other's stories.
Yep.
And it's access to different experiences.
Yep.
I will say there's like this, I forget their name, but there's this American living in China. Mm-hmm. Right now it has been posting like, this is what it's actually like to live in China.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do I want to live in China? This is crazy, But it's like, to your point, there's really nowhere else you can get that experience right now.
Yeah. And I do think that's why we're all learning and we're like finding representation quicker, which is really exciting. Yeah. I think to me, it's like, it's beautiful because I've learned so much about the communities around me through that storytelling as well.
Totally.
Well, I kind of want to, I want to dive into your advocacy and your activism work. And so you started with Good Morning America and started doing more inclusion reporting. And then you stepped into the role at GLAAD.
Right.
At what point did you start to realize that, wow, there's a much deeper and more powerful purpose for me, a deeper why than I ever even imagined? Yeah. And can you tell me about that shift?
Yeah. I mean, I think it really was in my TV career at Good Morning America when I connected with not seeing other people like myself or other stories like myself in the stories that we were writing or putting on the air, or the people pitching those stories in the boardroom, in the pitch room. What I discovered with this is going back on the asking for permission bit, but when I started to ask why or ask if we can insert more inclusive experiences or if there was an LGBTQ issue per se, maybe have an LGBTQ doctor or LGBTQ real estate agent who was connected with that story in a real way. Once I started asking for more representation, other people beside me started to raise their hands to help with segments, to also pitch. There was a senior producer that was like, oh, I would love to help you on this. I'm just not out at work.
Okay.
You know, and I'm 27, 28, you know, doing this in a newsroom. And it really just snowballed and evolved from there.
Wow.
And something happened where there was already conversation about how there wasn't an LGBTQ ERG in our news group. And I was like, I wish we had one. Like, someone should start that.
Right.
But the impetus really was when someone wrote me an email who was apparently 3 desks down from me. And I worked at this place for how many years?
Right.
I should know everyone on this floor.
Yeah.
Did not know this person. Was an enigma to me. And the email was very simple of just, hey, I'm so-and-so. I work in this unit. Someone told me you'd be the right person to reach out and maybe ask to help on this, but I don't feel comfortable using any of the restrooms in our building.
Okay. Yep.
And I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
That 1, I don't know this person. 2, we're doing like pride programming, et cetera now. And we have people amongst us who don't feel comfortable using a restroom in our building.
Right.
And we're effectively a safe workplace. How can you not feel comfortable?
Yeah.
And I was like, who is fighting for people like this? And so that was like a lightning bolt moment for me. And that was just to take care of my own. And so we launched an ERG and we found the gays at news, at ABC News. And we built something really cool there. And a lot of other networks followed suit as well.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I love that it comes from such a deeply personal like a story as well. It comes from such a deeply personal story where, you know, someone reached out to you and entrusted you with that. Because if they were scared to use the bathroom, then I'm sure that they were also scared to tell someone and to talk about it, right? Which also comes
and for how long?
Right. And that's amazing too, because I mean, like, we're even seeing these stories time and time again right now, and the amount of people that are carrying this and maybe don't have anyone to talk to. But also, as you said, that you are like 27, 28 years old, and you have people that are coming to you at places like ABC News. It's just like, that is movement. That is a movement that you're creating. And you know, we hear all the time like, oh, you don't have as much experience, or you're too young, you don't know what you're talking about, you're not as wise. And I'm like, no, you were straight up like, no. Like, we're changing things, and I love that.
I mean, it was, of course, it was never about me.
Of course.
I was just that person who was like, this is bad.
Yeah.
This is wrong.
Right.
But here's a solution.
100%.
Also.
I love that. And so that kind of led you into, I mean, years and years of work with inclusive reporting. And then now you're starting your venture, which is Morrison Media Group.
Morrison Media Group.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Huge. And I think that is incredible. What kind of made you realize that you wanted to take that next step?
It was realizing for me that I wanted to do work in our community and for people, not just LGBTQ people, but I wanted to do work that was a little out of scope of the places that had hired me before. Okay. It's not to diminish them or there's not a scandal, you know, from any of my previous employers. I wanted the freedom to cover the stories and tell the stories that I wanted to tell.
Of course,
that were important for me.
Yep.
And I have the freedom and liberty to do that now. That calls in everything that I've done previously.
It's huge too, because it's, you know, it's not saying that it's taking away from any of the other experiences, but if anything, you're creating more abundance, which I think is really impactful.
I love that.
Thank you know, and I think that's exactly what we need right now. Is it's creating more opportunities for people. It's not taking away from anything else that you've experienced. It's just like, what else? How can we continue to elevate and escalate? So it's great.
You know, it's interesting because, and again, this is not to diminish the past employers and people I've worked with. I feel like, you know, talking about my middle school and high school experience and, you know, being Beta Club president, all that stuff, right up through my professional career, everything I've done up until this point has been for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And while, news groups and entire corporations have trusted me to lead projects or stories, it was always for that team.
Yep.
This is the first time that I get to do it for me.
Oh, it's huge.
That's what gives me joy.
Yeah.
I
love that. And
that's
you
what brings me
deserve
back to that person who moved to New York.
Yeah.
Just on a whim.
Yeah.
It's
huge.
That's what gets me up in the morning, that it's for me.
Yep.
But I know that what I'm doing is so much bigger than myself.
Yep. I would love to ask you, as you just mentioned that too, about your spirituality or your faith.
Yeah.
At talking about something even bigger than yourself, which is multiple layers, right? What you're doing right now is for yourself, but bigger than yourself, right? Yeah. And I'd love to talk about your faith and spirituality and how does that play a role in what you're going through right now as well?
Well, I definitely label myself as spiritual versus religious.
Okay.
I grew up evangelical, as I was sharing with you earlier. I'm actually really thankful for that foundation.
Okay.
I learned how to express and connect spiritually through my craft.
Okay.
And art.
Yep.
I think that's the big thing that's really held me together, but that I've held close to. And as I've grown, evolved, I just can't help but to think that all of it's interconnected,
Yep.
Whether you are praying or meditating or manifesting, I think it's all the same thing.
Yeah, I agree.
And I just, I pray to God. I will sing the occasional Hillsong song. I actually learned how to play guitar to save my church growing up.
Okay. Wow. You do all the extracurricular
So musically
activities.
inclined. I've not played the guitar in a while. I sold my guitar and my car to move to New York City.
Wow. Okay. So whenever you start your business, like whenever you continue your venture, you should buy yourself a new guitar as like a congratulations.
Listen, I'm going to start busking next. Yeah. That's my thing.
I'll be the first one. I'll come over and drop some coins in your
Thank
your case. Absolutely.
Instant fans.
Instant fan.
No, but like I have a North Star of trusting the unseen.
I agree.
And just putting yourself ahead, your best foot forward in full faith.
Yep.
And I believe that it will come back to you.
It's so beautiful to hear you say that too, because as someone that travels, a lot of my career has been in the travel industry.
Yeah.
You are introduced to people of all different faiths and backgrounds and spiritual upbringings, and I think what I think is really beautiful is it's exactly what you said. I feel like we're all looking for the same thing, but we're using a different language for it.
Completely.
And I think that is what's so beautiful about having these lived experiences, because we all want to love and be loved and be like have a life full of purpose, but it's like we're creating that through translations, whether that's like speaking to a God or speaking to a higher power, the universe, whatever that might look like. So I think that's really special. Whenever it comes to your mental health, whenever it comes
not us laughing, our mental health.
I'm just imagining, because like you are running your own company now and you solopreneur, but also like there is a level of responsibility that comes with it because you're a representative of so many people. How do you protect your peace and during this time, but also like what are some practices that you keep in mind whenever you're looking after your mental health?
I think about this often because I don't know that I'm actively protecting my peace.
Okay.
Other than it's probably in my DNA and something I've just developed. And I think what I'm trying to say here is, when I worked in news and hard news, there was, gosh, you see everything. We're cutting the video that you don't get to see on the air. A lot of it's gruesome stuff or moments of death, horrific stuff, mass shootings. To tell the story effectively and impactfully, there's a little bit of compartmentalizing that takes place. Not to remove yourself and ignore the weight and the emotion of the story you're telling,
Yep.
but it's a matter of getting through what you need to tell that story.
Yep.
Well, as I talk about it, I don't know if it's a good answer right now. Because it sounds like I'm ignoring or pushing down these emotions.
But I think that it's a real answer because I think it's something that we're all doing at this time collectively. Is like a lot of things that are around us are out of our control.
Yeah.
And it kind of feels like the world's spinning faster and faster in a way where a lot of us feel like, oh my God, and I do think that compartmentalizing is a good answer actually because it's allowing us to take what we can and let what we can't what we can't control to rest for just a moment.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good thing because you are protecting yourself.
Yeah. Well, this is a real-time answer because I've not really described it in this way before.
Okay.
But I will say my peace and finding my peace has changed.
Okay.
Because I've not let myself feel in the past. And what I'm doing actively now, which I've not said out loud, actually, is allowing myself to feel and work through those emotions, good or bad.
Yeah.
And I'm finding that allowing myself to work through and push through, especially the negative emotions, takes so much weight off when I get to the other side.
Yeah.
You always get to the other side. It's just really shitty getting there.
Yeah.
And that's what I found.
It's in alignment with one of the biggest, if not the biggest, jumps of your career right now. Yeah. And it's, again, what you just said, connecting yourself to this adolescent you, like this freedom, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's really cool that you're also going through this level of like, I'm going to chase my dreams unapologetically, and I'm finding this sense of freedom and joy. Yeah. But at the same time, I had to go through all this pain that I've been holding onto and avoiding for so long. Yeah. And now I'm going through it. And like the other side of that is feeling all these amazing things and being like so confident enough to actually like pursue your dreams on another level. I really want to applaud you for that because I think it's really difficult to face those things. Yeah. And as someone who is 4 years sober, I feel like that was the hardest part for me. Yeah. Was having to face it because a lot of it I was like push away
because you don't know where it's going to take you.
Yeah,
it's that unknown of just like, okay, I'm going to try to feel this through, but I think we're so used to having that control and knowing where we're going.
Yep,
that release is freaking terrifying.
It is. Yeah, and I think that is something that I'm loving so much about this show is like we're all a little scared. All of us. But I think that it's like all of us also continuously pushing forward, like being afraid and doing it anyways. And I think that is like what I am so empowered by with every guest that comes on here is like, we're all scared to be doing this, but we're doing it anyways.
Totally.
Which I think is really cool because I feel like it's like, if we're not going to do it, who else is going to do it? You know what I mean?
I mean, I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. And it's equal parts the best experience, the best part of it, and it's also terrifying. Yeah.
And I think that is what brings the best outcomes as well, because it's going to only lead to bigger and cooler and most empowering things, which I'm like, I can't.
In some ways, that's the whole point.
I can't wait to see how all of this like comes to fruition and everything. It's just so exciting. Resilience is like, it's such a core part of being human, and it's such a core part of the human experience. Like, every single person that I've heard come on here and open up about their story is just such a deep level of resilience where it's like every hardship or struggle or obstacle that they've had to go through and they've continued to push forward. It's just, to me, resilience is just one of the coolest, most beautiful things about human experience.
Yeah.
What does resilience mean to you?
Resilience is understanding that you were built for the life you have to live. And that relates to, if you're having a tough experience or something is stressing you out, just knowing that if you survived X, Y, like you can get through Z.
Yeah.
And it's just realizing that you were built for this.
I always say I didn't come this far to only go this far.
Literally. Are you kidding?
That's what I always tell myself. I'm like, I better have another 60 years to go because I did not come this far to only go this far. I got so much more to go, And I think that that's incredible.
And not limiting yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love this. And thank you so much for everything that you've shared because I feel like you're such an inspiration to not just me, but so many others. And I can't wait to see how all of this unfolds. It's just so exciting. And I don't know. It's you're a continuous reminder that every step you take in this world, it's not forever. It could be just bringing you to the next chapter of your life, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. If you had a superpower, what would you choose and why?
My superpower?
Yeah, your superpower.
Are we talking superpowers? I've always wanted to fly.
You wanted to fly?
I've always wanted to fly.
See, that's my least favorite. I'm terrified of heights. God. You want to fly?
Really?
Fly? Would you be this kind of fly or this kind of fly?
This kind of fly. Take me
I needed
away.
a visual. I
know. I would choose to fly.
Okay.
I have no idea how planes work.
Okay.
I'm always fascinated when I'm on a plane. I'm like, I guess we're doing this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Aviation is very impressive. Sometimes I'm like, the Wright brothers really did us a favor, didn't they?
No, literally. Crazy.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think what I would do. I don't know what I would do. There was this one superhero that I saw in the superhero movie a long time ago where they could turn any object into another object. So if I was like, I really don't like this flavor Monster, I could literally turn it into another flavor.
Okay, slay.
I don't know what that superpower is, but they were like, I have to go to Ralph's to buy something, but I forgot my wallet on me. Currency, money.
Well, now I think flying's so basic.
But no, I actually like flying as well.
I'm thinking through all of the superhero shows right now of just
yeah, there's so many.
There's so many.
Yeah. I don't think I would want to read people's minds though, because people are a little bit harsher than I would imagine.
I would not want that.
I would not want that.
And yeah, I'm good. Hard pass.
Think teleportation would be pretty cool. Because then you don't even have to fly. You could just go
go like what?
And I'm over there, and then I'm over there. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
Okay. If you could rewrite the ending of any famous movie or TV show, which one would it be and how would you change it? I would choose Titanic. I'm just saying. I will die on this hill. Why didn't she move over? Why didn't the ship make it? It was the one guy. I'm sorry. Don't let me get started on this. It was the one guy that was like, let's turn up all the boilers and go faster. We need to put something in the papers. It was the one guy who ended up ruining it for everyone. I would rewrite the ending of that story. Just saying. One for it's my favorite movie.
Why did Mufasa have to die?
That's true.
Can you not?
Right.
Talk about childhood trauma.
All of us collectively went through.
All of us.
Yeah. That was insane.
Of course, I pick a Disney film.
As you should. I picked Titanic. Okay, I'm not much better. If you could let people know where to follow you and also Morrison Media Group, how they can follow that journey as well.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tony with a Y Morrison. You can follow me at The Tony Morrison and my new media venture, Morrison Media.
Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you
again.
I'm so happy and excited for all the conversations you're having.
Thank you.
They're really
important. Truly. Thank you so much. And that's a wrap on this episode of She Comes With Baggage. If you love this conversation, please make sure to follow She Comes With Baggage on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube for more content and behind-the-scenes moments. And if you're tuning in on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other audio platform, don't forget to leave a review. I love hearing from you. Your support helps keep these conversations going. And just remember, if you are carrying any baggage, you're not alone, and we're all more alike than we might realize. See you soon.